Hi friends, so we are just going to do this third part again in the morning because crazy days. My kids all have a bit of a cold and you can hear it in my throat too, so yep, sorry about that if it's a little rough on your ears. So I'll keep it a little bit shorter today. We're going to talk a little bit about Caiden's recovery now. We're going to talk about what I did, the methods I did, what I looked for. Now, remember, everybody's eczema story is different. You can try some of these things, but every kid kind of has a different ending to their eczema, and some don't. Some will still be dealing with triggers, and it is just an ongoing process that might be for till their teen years, might be into adulthood. So this is by no means a cure-all for everyone. I just want to lay that out because I kind of had a hard time trying to find the answer, and there never really was one. So for us, it was a good ending. He was able to get into remission. It took a lot longer than my second boy to get there, but that's okay. Learned a lot along the way. So the first thing that I did was I invested into different eczema clothing. I ended up getting something called scratch sleeves. You might have seen me at the beginning holding those up. So those in my intro videos, not in the beginning of this video. Maybe I'll add a clip of that in here. Got a new editing system, so I'm kind of coming up to the times here, so my videos might get a little more smooth from this point on. Yay! Won't spend so many long hours editing. So I invested in those. There's a couple different kinds that we did, and they're just mitts that go around the back like a tube. They go around the back, and you put them in like a coat almost, and go over the tops of outfits. There's a couple different brands. I'll see if some of them are still around and add those in the description below. And they have a YouTube channel, and I'll clock them up here. But if not, there will not be a link. But they do have silk over the top, which is amazing. So they can't rub their face. As they got older, they developed one that velcros over the front, so when they get smart and wiggling off those sleeves, they can't because it's secured on there. And they also provide pants and overalls that you can put up and they can't itch because there's silk on their feet. So that was a miracle, and we invested in those earlier on. And then throughout time. They're not cheap. Most of them are not made in the U.S. that I have found. I will also be talking about some different types of younger baby protection items you could either sew yourself or you could purchase. So there's that. I think there might even be some on Etsy if you look. There was another brand that was great called Flip Sleeves. Is that Flip Me Sleeves? I wish I could remember. I'll look her up too. She was a woman-owned company. She had kids with eczema, and she developed this great one. Great for especially when kids are older. They're starting to use their pinchers, so like 12 months, when they're starting to eat on their own. You can flip the sleeves off. Either one hand, two hands, maybe they have an unitchy moment, because you want them to get that. You know, as a teacher, it's really important to work on those fine motor skills. I used to be a teacher, so you want to have that ability for them, and I loved using those for him because on moments that weren't scratchy, I could work on him with eating, coloring, washing his hands, you know, anything that I needed to do. Get air out his hands a little bit without taking the whole sleeve off, and then boom, you're going in a car ride, you flip those babies right over. I actually got to the point where I think she stopped making them for a while, and I started sewing my own. I kind of looked at the design, and I kind of have some sewing skills, but not anything amazing. And I think I just had this old wonky machine my mom had gotten me, and I sewed those puppies. So I have a picture. I'll put that into the video. You can kind of take a look. My dream was to actually start making those in really fun designs, because when you're in that sad place, especially as a parent or a kid, you want to have fun prints. I wanted to have girly prints. I wanted to have boy prints. A lot of them are just kind of neutral colors. Usually they're organic cotton, but I wanted to try to find a way, almost like Burt's Bees style, organic clothing. You know, they have those fun prints. I just wanted something to kind of bring some joy, you know, during rough times. So that was always my dream. Maybe I'll get there one day. I'm just not there right now. Especially with how the world is with textile. So, anywho, continuing on, we did those outfits, and those help a lot. If anyone's watching this that has eczema with children, they even have it up to scratch sleeves, has up to, you know, teens, I think, or older kids. So please, if you haven't already, please look into them. You will get hours of restful sleep knowing that your child is not hurting themselves. I swear, it was my #1 game changer. I also, my parents have a store that actually sells those. Just like a retail, like brick and mortar location. So in the US, we could look at, you know, ordering those so you could get them faster. If you can't get them fast from overseas, I think Amazon might carry them as well for a quick, you know, a quick option. So, anywho, away from clothes now. So clothes, get yourself some eczema clothes, anything that covers up stuff. Bath time. I'll go over my bath time routine. We started a new bath time routine that was great. My sister helped me kind of develop this, who has eczema. So she said a little bit hotter water. I know that everybody goes against that, but she said luke or cold feels a little on your skin sometimes. Sometimes you need a little sting to help with the pain. So getting him in the bath with some, I think I just did a neutral bath. And then what I did was, sometimes I put Epsom salts in. If I did, I rinsed him off at the end. Sometimes what I did was I took a bowl of water, and he had no nut allergy, so I felt okay with this. Putting some shea butter and cocoa butter, melting that in, maybe olive oil too. I'd make this little oil water mixture. I put some Epsom salt and some Himalayan salt, dissolve that, and about the same temperature. And I would take a rag, and I would just keep dousing him with the rag in the bath. And I would do a bath, I think, every 2 to 3 days. And I was trying to heal and pull out all the icky stuff in his skin. I was not doing steroids. I also, so that was his bath routine. I didn't do it super long. I kind of rinse him off at the end, and then immediately I was putting it on some balms or some olive oil. But for him, I guess I just did more olive oil. I just kept it so basic. So I did olive oil and then shea, and then I would just coat his whole body. I noticed that his skin also, probably because of the bacteria, looking back, got better going to the pool. I started doing swim lessons with him. This was after my divorce. I was really working on these things. And I also worked on his diet. So with the nature path, I did start avoiding dairy for him. He actually does eat dairy now. It probably does inflame him a bit. So if he ever seems a little more dry in the winter and stuff, I try to just at least limit it a little bit more. Maybe we'll eliminate it as he hits, puberty. He is 9, so he's getting there. So, maybe it could translate to acne. So we're always going to be on the lookout for that. But or maybe a reflare coming. I don't know. We'll see what time will tell. So anyways, he doesn't really, for maintenance, he doesn't like putting lotion on as much now that he's older, but I do encourage it, or oils. But yeah, that's what we did when he was little. did that bath routine. I cut out gluten at the time and dairy. I supplemented for his MTHFR, which if you don't know what that is, I kind of mention it in my second video. So I was using NAC in a spray. I don't think they make it anymore. I got it through my naturopath. It was like just a spray mixed with glutathione. You would do it under your tongue. And then I was also doing, what else was I doing with him? I was doing a lot of folate heavy foods, so mostly diet. So he didn't really like vegetables a ton. He would eat kale chips. It was weirdly a weird thing that he would eat. But my mom and I, because I was going through my health stuff and kind of the beginnings of my divorce, and we would make him crazy good smoothies with berries, tons and tons of romaine lettuce, because romaine lettuce has a decent amount of folate. We try to get him to do beans, anything that we could, but those smoothies, man, we put avocados in there, another good folate, and he would drink those down, and we would just get him as many nutrients, as much juice and like fresh pressed garden vegetables like into the juice, and then add all the berries and add we weren't doing yogurt, so I don't know if I was doing like some sort of probiotic. I was doing all the things to help his gut, provide prebiotic and just healthy, unchemicalized food. So we did the best that we could. We did struggle a little bit with the other home, with diet, and that kind of caused some reflares as we went along. But with time, his body was able to process that. His skin barrier became a little more tough. We did have a strep skin infection. I got right on top of that. And that was later on. So I can make a separate video when I talk about different bacterial rashes, which was more my second son. So I'll kind of go into that and the protocol that you would want to do, and maybe some different options. But for the most part, that's what I did. So I focused on the baths, the food, and the clothing, and time. And eventually, I would say probably around 3 to 4, he was clear. And it was interesting how his eczema dissipated, because it started, here, and the clearing went down his body, just kind of how it appeared. It started with the skin, then his back, then his stomach, then his legs, then his feet, and then that all went downwards. So his face was clear, then his shoulders, then his stomach, then his legs, then his feet, and it was gone. And so the last little stubborn spots were his feet. He also had severe swelling of his lymph nodes. I don't know if you have a child that has had eczema. My second didn't have it as long, but chronically, because it was so chronic, he did have very swollen lymph nodes that were big. Don't worry, we checked him out with the doctor. He did do some blood draws. And sometimes I heard from my doctor, kids with eczema can have kind of strange CBC panels. Like, they can be just a little different because your body's so inflamed. So you might want to check that with your doctor. They might be like, no, that's not a thing, but maybe it was just my doctor at the time. But so we got that checked out. He was slightly anemic, but to be expected with his folate levels, which we never tested. We just knew he had MTHFR, so we knew his folate levels were probably low, which can help contribute to anemia. So yeah, we got that all figured out. We got his diet on track. He got older. He was able to eat more. So yes, that was kind of our whole rounded approach to healing his eczema. And oh my gosh, what a cute kid. Started gaining weight, started growing again. His weight was so stunted. His growth was so stunted from this. So yeah, there is hope. There is light at the tunnel for some people. For others, I know, and I talk about it so easily now. Like, oh yeah, it was just a little walk in the park. It was not. There were really good days, and there were really bad days. With my divorce, it was difficult because sometimes he'd come home, and then he would just flare, and I only had, like a week to get him recouped before he would go back. So yeah, there's definitely ups and downs with this journey. And sometimes still, he has dry skin. You know, now it's more presenting as dry skin. So sometimes there's different battles. There's always going to be a battle with kids, right? Like you have, that's what I'm just going to put this little mom advice nugget out there. When you have kids, there's always hard moments. And I think a lot, when I was a new mom and naive as I was, I thought, oh yeah, it'll get better. This is gonna be, this time will pass. It will not last forever. And then my mom would always come in, who has adult kids, and she's like, Renee, it's always gonna be hard, just in different ways. And when I mean hard, it's hard in different ways. And I'm like, yeah, just like life, there's always gonna be a difficult moment of some kind. It's just warping how it's difficult to challenge you, to teach you something. I try to think of it as we're here to learn, and so yeah, that was my journey of learning with my first son. And I will have more videos to come. I'm going to if you followed me on this journey, cool. If you just found me, I'm going to put maybe here and here, the first part and second part of his story. And yeah, it'll be great. I'm going to do my second kid's son. It happened during COVID. So it was a little more crazy with the doctor's appointments and treatment, and we were in the hospital with him. So it was a little more extreme, but it also, because it wasn't my first rodeo per se, I was able to get him on track a little bit faster and get his health figured. My health was better too. So at this point, with the end of Caiden's journey, my health and the stress from everything in my life, I was able to kind of pull away from that and learn to heal myself as well. So, in my autoimmune and my own issues. So I was able to heal. Yay! So I was able to better take care. I had better support with my second son. So, and my amazing husband who helped me get through all of that. So I will be back. I will try to post another 3. I'll try to do one every day. Yes, I will be in this mom state of no makeup, waking up. And I know that I will start doing some shorts too. So for the people that you have a kid with eczema, unless you're just like listening to this as your kid is awake at 1 a.m., you're probably not going to have time. Like, you're not going to have time to listen to all of these. So I will be posting some little quick videos for people that need some quick little guidance videos that aren't super long. And then I'll have probably some long form ones as well. If you really need some detailed information, probably my videos that focus a little more on what eczema is and those kinds of informational videos. So hang in there. You're doing great. If you are an eczema parent, just look yourself up some scratch sleep so you can get some sleep. I will put the link below. And I hope you all have a really nice day. I hope your kids have a nice day. I hope they can find some peace at some point, even if it's a little moment today. Okay.